Artistic wire square braid is a type of wire that's made with material that is phosphor bronze, bare yellow brass, bare brass, and bare copper. Now, these wires are all the way through the same material. So these aren't coated wires. They're all bare so that you can patina these, you can darken them, you can paint them, you can do all kinds of things with them. There's a few really interesting properties. The size is considered a 14 gauge square. Now what that means is that the flat side to flat side is actually 14 gauge. If you go corner to corner, as you know, a square, if you measure here, you're going to get one measurement. If you measure corner to corner, you're going to get a larger diameter. So this wire can be used with our crimp tubes, but you need to move up to the next size, which is a 12 gauge. What we're going to do with the 14 gauge square wire braid today is make a simple ring. So you're going to use a ring mandrel, and I always try to wrap the wire around about 2 sizes smaller because as you wrap this, it's going to open back up and splay. So I want to make about a size 7 ring. So you just let that drop down and we're right there at size 7. So there's a number of different types of rings that you can make. I'm just going to start rolling these from the sides, but I can see that I'm just a little bit off center. So I'm just going to take and cut this just a little bit so that those two are about the same size. So now I always like to make curls with a curved chain nose. So I'm going to grasp this and I want these curls to curl in towards the other wire. So I'm just going to grab here and just twist this around. Nice and tight, just like so. Then I can close this down so it goes in. Now these wires are going to start to unbraid, so I'm just going to squeeze that back down, and then using the curved portion of the bent chain nose, I'm just going to grasp and wrap. What using the curved chain nose and this part of it will do is that gives you a bigger surface area to grasp a hold of, and it's going to distribute the pressure that you're putting down so that it will mar the least. See, so that's going to curl down right like that, and the other one's going to come down here, and then that's going to leave this as a nice adjustable ring. So just grasp over here, and we're going to curve this the opposite direction. Just bring that in. Continue to pull that down, and then again come here. And notice I'm using the curved chain nose here with the tips up so that I can see exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes when you're working in this position, you can't really see what you're doing. So make these pliers do what you want them to so that you can see exactly what's going on when you're using the tips. There you go. And then we're going to just wrap this down and just reach and grab and twist and squeeze and roll that right down just like that. And now you have a very quickly done ring. Those can be angled in any direction. So some different ideas for rings using sort of this technique. Here's one that we've twisted one side and then tucked the other end here and wrapped it around, and then unbraided the braid to use the individual wires to be able to put these beads on. So with this one, I used one side and undid the braid and made prongs out of the individual 8 wires. You can also use the wire to enhance other types of bracelets or necklaces. All right, now before we get too much farther, I'm going to take a piece of the copper wire and start undoing the end. So all you really need to do is take the curved chain nose and begin to pull at these wires to get them to start to come loose. So, you just have to kind of get in there and grasp a wire and pull it to the side. Just like that, and you'll find 8 wires in there that will allow you to have 8 wires attached to a braided base, and you can just kind of grab it and undo, When you get to a certain point when it's a little bit longer, you can just grab them with your hands, unless you're comfortable with using the pliers. See, it begins to open up. At first this seems like it's almost impossible, but once you get them a little bit longer, you can open these up pretty easily. And that's going to give you your base to begin putting beads and other things onto it. And you'll probably want to go down a little bit longer depending on what you're actually going to do with the ends. If you're going to be putting beads on, such as this, I like to have a little extra just so that you can have plenty of wire to be able to do your ends. You can always cut it off, but you can't add any to it. One other thing that I wanted to show you is how to crimp it. Remember, on a 14 gauge square, you need to use a 12 gauge crimp tube. I'm going to use the Artistic Wire crimp tool. It's specifically for use with the Artistic Wire large crimp tubes. The nice thing about this one is we've cut off the end and we've modified this just slightly so that it will crimp all three sizes of crimp tubes, 16, 14, and 12. So you can see that I need to find the halfway mark with the wire and then just size my wire. I'm just placing this on top to kind of figure out where the halfway mark is. Mark that with my thumb, then slide this right in here and make one crimp. So that's going to place that nice divot from the tooth right in there, and now I'm ready to do the other side. So that's how easy it is for you to be able to crimp this type of wire. You can make chain links with this, you can make bangle bracelets, just wherever you're going to need to have a cold connection on this wire or to finish it off.